Welcome to Aviation Careers Podcast. My name is Carl Valeri, and I'll be your host today. Today we're going to talk about HIMSS and HIMSS study, and what does that mean to you as an airline pilot? Excitingly, I have actually with me an aviation attorney. It's actually an attorney from Strumer Law, and as you know, the law offices of Strumer Law are the sponsor of this podcast. And if you're looking for one of those scholarships guides, they're giving away 50 of those scholarships guides by using the coupon code Strumer Law. The law offices of Robert M. Strumer, LLC handles various aviation matters, safety investigations, and pilot medical certification. And you can find them on the web at www.strumerlaw.com. And don't forget to use that coupon code Strumer Law when you want to get that free scholarships guide. Well, like I said, I'm excited to have somebody from Strumer Law joining us today, somebody who's been there in the past, and that is one of the attorneys, Chris Pezalla. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show.
Hey, Carl, great to be here.
Yeah, this is awesome to talk about something I think that a lot of people have some misconception about, and that's the HIMSS program. So HIMSS, HIMSS. First of all, what is HIMSS?
Well, yes. So HIMSS is an acronym. It's the Human Intervention Motivational Study. Nobody actually uses the full title. This program, of course, started in the 1970s as a way to help pilots, particularly airline pilots, work through drug and alcohol problems and stay in the cockpit and continue with their careers.
So you said airline pilots. So this is just for airline pilots?
At the time, it was developed with airline pilots in mind, but it's available to all pilots, including general aviation, corporate, even people that just fly for fun. We have a number of clients who are using the HIMSS program just to have third-class medical and go out and enjoy flight, as well as other individuals who are doing it for a living.
So people that have maybe some type of challenge in life and are on a substance and abuse a certain substance, alcohol, drugs, etc., for the most part, people are in the misconception that they can never fly for an airline, etc. And if you're in the HIMSS program, there's no chance that you can fly for an airline. So why are they wrong?
Actually, we see many individuals, both at the legacy carriers and throughout the system, in the HIMSS program. So the program has developed quite a bit over the years, and it allows individuals to get into flying or remain in flying following an alcohol or drug addiction or abuse.
Interestingly, people that come to us for the career coaching, they actually say to me, well, I'm in the HIMSS program. Is there any chance I can get hired? Of course you can. And just in general, there's a lot of things that you can have in your past, both medically and also legally, that will actually not hinder you from being hired. You just have to go through a little bit more paperwork, be a little more careful on what you do during the interview process. And that's why someone would reach out to someone like us for the career coaching, and also an attorney, aviation attorney, like those at Strumer Law and Chris Pezalla. So believe me, there's a lot more people, I should say, in the HIMSS program than people actually realize. And it's been incredibly successful. The recidivism rate is incredibly low. I don't know if you have any numbers, but everybody I've talked to, every doctor that I've talked to that's been in the HIMSS program thinks it's one of the best ones out there. What do you think, Chris?
We see it to be a pretty good program. I should mention it's really not a standalone program, but rather it's a program that brings together all the elements that you would see in a recovery, such as involvement with a group such as Alcoholics Anonymous, random drug testing and alcohol testing, and other types of support and evaluations. So the program is really not a single program like you would think from, say, a commercial vendor, but rather it's a program put together by the FAA to bring together those elements.
So this HIMSS program, if you're actually in this HIMSS program, the employer, I think most people are afraid they'll discriminate against the individual that's applying. Is that true?
Not the case. The Americans with Disabilities Act protects individuals who are recovering from substance abuse from discrimination. We've seen a number of our clients go into airlines or transition from one airline to another while in the HIMSS program. And we've also seen airlines offer HIMSS program to pilots to protect their jobs and actually keep them employed.
So most importantly, for those of people that maybe have some challenges with substance abuse, get yourself in a program. I mean, if you're not already in one, just remember that you really have people out there that want to help you. And also, if you do it properly, going through the HIMSS program, you will be eligible to continue your career or to have a career in aviation. So I think that's incredibly important. The problem is, I think most people have no idea how to get involved. So first of all, number one, how do I know I need HIMSS? And then number two, how do I find out more?
Right. So there's not a lot of published information, or at least not as much as we'd like to see, and that's because each program is flexible to the individual person. So it's not always a rigid set of steps, but rather the HIMSS AME, we'll talk about that in a minute, is going to help you figure out what those steps are. So the first question, of course, is, do I need to be in HIMSS? How would I know? First of all, if you're a pilot with substance issues, you can always go into the HIMSS program. The program's always there to help. It is an excellent way to not just remain sober and continue flying, but also to find support from other individuals who have been through these types of issues. That being said, the bulk of our clients who choose to go in the program usually do so because they've been denied a medical from the FAA.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the denial there. So you show up for your medical and it's denied or say deferred. I guess I have to get a little bit more color on that. Would it normally be denied at that point, or would the AME send it off for a deferral?
An AME could deny it, but that's very rare. The AMEs generally don't want to be the bad guys, so they will defer, and then that will go to the headquarters of the FAA Aeromed in Oklahoma City. Will usually send a follow-up letter to the pilot or potential pilot asking for information about alcohol events such as DUIs and their history of drinking. And then based on the information that the pilot provides, they determine if they think there was a substance abuse or substance dependence issue. The headquarters could then issue a medical certificate or request some type of follow-up. In other cases, the headquarters will deny the medical. And one of the complaints we have is that when these denials come in, they don't offer the HIMSS program. They don't make any suggestion of it. They simply say you can't have a medical. And so that's our cue to move towards the program at that point.
Interesting. So wow, this is good information. So when you get this information back from the FAA, by the way, the communications from the FAA are all written communications. They're through the mail, and if they're not going to call you, email you, etc., you're going to find out through the mail. So make sure you do have a good email or a good mail address, good mailing address, and you check it often, especially if you're waiting for an answer from the FAA on something medical. Also, with that said, if I get this, how do I get started? I mean, that's the toughest part of this whole thing is I get this denial letter. Now what?
Right. So for the folks who are working at an airline or air carrier that's represented by a union or association, those unions and associations have great resources for the pilots that they can reach out. And so the easiest way there is to just call the hotline or your local rep at the union or the association. Now, at my firm, we work with a lot of folks who are not represented by unions. We see people working in corporate aviation or people just getting started into aviation who don't have that support structure. In our case, we normally help them do the initial paperwork, submit their medical application and any information that goes with that. And if it does come back as a denial or a suggestion that a HIMSS program is necessary, then we go ahead and recommend them to one of the HIMSS AMEs. And that HIMSS AME is really going to be the person that takes you from start to finish through the program.
So when someone says, and I hear this all the time, that they were required to go into the HIMSS program by the FAA, so what they're really saying is that they got this denial and then went and got more information about HIMSS, but the FAA didn't specifically say you must go into the HIMSS program.
That's correct. In almost all the cases, the pilot was either denied or their support structure, their union or association, realized that was going to happen and was able to move them into the program quicker to get ahead of that denial.
So there's somebody, for instance, that I was talking to the other day, wants to become a flight instructor, but has had this issue in the past with alcoholism, and now doesn't have any issues, but he has this in his record, and is denied their medical. They have, I feel, a good chance of getting their medical and having a like a second or a side career as a flight instructor, this shouldn't deter them, in other words. And in doing that, I think the concern is this is going to cost me tons of money. There's no way I'll be able to do it. But I don't think that's truly the case, is it?
In terms of the success rate, it's very good. For folks that follow the plan, the success rate is better than 95%. At least that's what I'm told from our AME experts. So the program works very well, but a couple things to remember. One is you do have to follow all the steps, which includes sobriety for the remainder of your flying career, which for a lot of our clients is really a big transition to say you're not going to drink for the rest of your life. But there's random testing, so you really do have to go with the sobriety. In terms of the cost, there is some upfront cost, and it can be several $1,000s in those first few years. After year 5, it does start to gradually become less expensive and less of a hassle. So, but the program takes some effort. We had a recent call from an individual who had been denied a medical for 4 or 5 years, and we finally said, okay, we need to look at the paperwork, see what's going on here, and come to find out that he was doing some of the steps, but he was also skipping some of the steps in the program. So it's really important that you do go with all the steps in the HIMSS program in order to get that medical or to maintain that medical.
Yeah, that's where you may need an attorney, possibly. So I guess that brings up the other question. If I am somebody that has an issue, a challenge with substance abuse, do I need an attorney to start this process, or when would I need to seek out an attorney?
So the program itself does not require an attorney, but there are some folks or some points in time where we do get retained to help individuals with substance histories, and normally that's on the front end. So my firm will normally help with the medical application and responding to any requests from the FAA for more information, particularly personal statements and various types of police or court records. We oftentimes help clients compile those. Once all that information has been sent and the FAA has made their decision, that's generally the end of our engagement. And if there is a denial, then we're going to recommend an AME. But we really don't interfere with the AME's process. Once the AME takes over, we let them do their job because they know what they're doing.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So to find more information, you can start actually by going to your AME, or even there's articles on the internet, that type of thing, to find out more information about getting into this program, the HIMSS program. I think the hardest part is understanding what it is, and then the fact that it's out there. And the name itself doesn't connote, I think it doesn't help much when we're trying to figure out what I need to go forward with, like drugs and alcohol, because HIMSS is just an acronym. So trying to get people pushed in that direction, I think, takes an effort by us as an industry to help everybody through the different organizations like AOPA. Obviously, if you work for an airline, you have your union that's there and you have a lot of help. But for those people, and we do have quite a few people that listen that want to become a professional flight instructor, make sure you get involved in the different organizations, AOPA, NAFI, Safe Pilots, all those type of organizations out there. And if you do run into a problem, highly recommend working with an attorney if you feel that you should be able to get through this process. But Chris, as far as that's concerned, as far as the different organizations out there, other than the ones that I've mentioned, is there any other ones that you might suggest other than like AOPA and NAFI and Safe Pilots?
AOPA is my main go-to. And then beyond that, working with the individual AME, which you can find from the FAA's website, they're going to be your primary resource for this.
Gotcha. And we'll have a link, by the way, in the show notes here as far as, links to how do I find an AME, what's the HIMSS program, et cetera. But we also have an article in there through AOPA, and that has an extensive list of different attorneys and AMEs you can look up there. And they also have you. I think you're also involved, right, in the AOPA program?
That's correct. My firm is also on the panel attorney list, so if you're coming through AOPA, we're one of the attorneys available to help.
So if you're somebody who's alcohol or drug dependent or has been in the past, don't fret. You will be able to move forward with your career. Say it's as a flight instructor. You're currently in a job. You want to do a job on the side, a side hustle as an instructor, or say someday you want to become an airline pilot, corporate pilot, etc. You can, especially through this HIMSS program. And I think that you'd be surprised at how many people are actually able to get their medical and actually successfully navigate dependence, on alcohol and drugs and the abuse of that, and actually have a very, very lucrative and fulfilling career. Well, Chris, what else do you have? I mean, is there any other closing remarks before we finish up here today as far as the HIMSS program?
So the HIMSS program is excellent. One of the things I do discuss with the clients, though, is I discuss their goals because there are some aspects of flying that either do not require medical or could be done with a driver's license. So, for instance, the light sport is available, and the FAA, as of right now, is considering expanding the realm of light sport aircraft to a lot more aircraft. Light sport requires only a driver's license, not a medical. But the thing to remember is if you apply for a medical and you're denied, then you can no longer operate under light sport. So if you're looking to fly for fun as opposed to a career, and you think light sport might be what you're looking for or might fit your needs, I think that's something to look at before going into a medical or something requiring a medical certificate.
Absolutely. And also I've heard people say, hey, listen, I want to start flying and look at my options and maybe start with the light sport and then move on in the future into a career in aviation. But anyway, this has been awesome. Chris, I really appreciate your coming here and talking a little bit about the HIMSS program. Of course, Strumer Law is www.strumerlaw.com. They are the sponsor of this podcast, and they are giving away actually 50 of those scholarships guides by using the coupon code Strumer Law. Remember, that scholarships guide has over $120 million in scholarships. We update it every month, and we're excited to be adding some more programs within there. As a matter of fact, some of the cadet programs we're actually going to place in the scholarships guide, and scholarships and career guide is actually what we're turning it into. But we really appreciate what you folks have done at Strumer Law, Chris, and sponsoring the podcast.
Thank you, Carl.
So if you're somebody who's seeking out information about HIMSS program, you're wondering what is HIMSS, and if I have a drug or alcohol dependence issues, I feel like I may never get a chance to go forward in my career. Well, you know what? I don't think you're correct. I think most people can move forward in their lives as long as they get help and they go through some of these programs like the HIMSS programs, and they take their time, do all the paperwork, and they themselves will actually be better off by going through this program successfully, and also better off because of the fact that they're going to have this fulfilling career. And it gives them something to get up in the morning and enjoy, because we all love flying, that's for sure. Again, Chris, thanks so much for coming here. I know that you are enjoying yourselves. I think it's in the New Orleans area. Chris also is, he flies a 737 part-time, I guess, for an airline.
Yeah, it's a good day job. What can I tell you?
We'll have to have Chris on again to talk a little bit about that. But if you're looking at information out there about the HIMSS program, if you have some substance abuse issues, please reach out to us. We do some career coaching. aviationcareerspodcast.com/coaching. Also, if you want to get one of those free scholarships guides, people always ask me, how do I get one for free? Always listen to the first minute or two of this podcast and check out what scholarships guides are available through those free coupons. This one here from Strumer Law, www.strumerlaw.com. Use a coupon code StrumerLaw when you click on that scholarships guide. But most importantly, if you're looking at this as a career or you want to get it as a side hustle, being a pilot, one of the most important things you need to do is to take action today. Make sure that you don't stop here by listening to this and just moving on to the next thing in your life. Write down something that might help you move forward in your career and your life. You might want to click on some of the links that are below in the show notes or in the comments. Also, if you have questions, don't forget to go online, go to our YouTube channel, also go to our contact page. If any of the information here has helped you, please let us know. If you have experiences in your past that you might want to share to help other people that are going through this process right now of HIMSS, or you want to talk about your success story, we'd love to have you on as a guest. Just click on Be a Guest. But most importantly, do something today to move forward in your career and in your life. We'll talk to you next episode. Safe flying out there.